Happy Wednesday, everybody. The first Wednesday of 2023. Regardless of what I said in that last video, when I tried to repeat 2022 over again, yes, it really is 2023. Welcome and Happy New Year. I'm excited to be back here again. I'm really excited because I made this pledge to myself. Well, my coach kind of held me accountable to it that I would go live once a week. And I've done it now for over a year. I think there was one mistake when I was in Costa Rica and I missed it, and I may have been out of the country a couple of times, but still the habit has been set, right? It's not a New Year's resolution because I don't do New Year's resolutions, but the habit has been set that each Wednesday I'm here at 8:35 p.m. Eastern Time, and I welcome you here. And today I'm going to be talking about 15 strategies to overcome the fear of success so that you can maximize your potential. So, if it is your first time being here, I'm Dr. Twanna, and as a career coach, I work with busy women executives who are plagued by the imposter syndrome, self criticism, and doubt. I help them to alleviate their stress, right? So that they can find peace of mind and then fully focus on excelling in their careers. So if you are here, welcome, welcome. I'm going to turn on my comments. And I love comments. I love questions. If you have questions, if you have comments, do drop them in the link in the comments down there, and I will attend to them while I am on air live. And those of you who are actually watching me live, drop live in the comments and welcome to you. Also, let me know where you're hopping on from. And for those of you that catch the replay, you too can let me know where you're hopping on from. I love to come back and read the comments of where everybody is, right? And without further ado, we're going to start down my list of the 15 strategies to overcome that fear of success so that you can maximize your potential. And I am going to situate my screen here so that I can see the comments as they come up while I'm going through the 15 strategies. How cool is that, right? So I know that I'm coming on a number of platforms. Those of you who are on LinkedIn, welcome. All of you who are seeing this on Facebook, welcome. If you're seeing this on YouTube, you too are welcome. And for those of you that are seeing on Twitter, you too are welcome. Okay. So, so without further ado, now how many people have heard the term fear of success? Right? That I know I struggled with it. I really, really struggled with it. But I want to know how many of you out there have heard the fear of success. And maybe if you haven't heard the fear of success, maybe you've heard it called success anxiety or maybe even success phobia. They all mean the same thing, right? You may have heard the term kicked around a little bit, but what does it really mean? And how can you apply it to your life, right? The thing is, the truth is that the fear of success can be completely paralyzing, right? Completely paralyzing. It is because when you start to move close to the goal, you're almost there, you're doing good, and doubt kicks in, anxiety kicks in, and then you start to, what do they call it? Catastrophize. If I get this job, they're going to expect more of me. What if I'm not as successful? What if they want way more of me than what I'm already giving? And you begin to become anxious about what that success means to you. And sometimes outwardly, oftentimes inwardly, you start self-sabotaging, right? And you may have seen this where people they're flowing, everything's come together and it's working out, and they just start doing things that literally mess everything up. That self-sabotaging behavior because ultimately you're afraid of success, afraid of what it means. Gay Hendrick talks about the four upper belief limits, and oftentimes it's a limiting belief that causes you to think, if I am this successful, then this is not going to go right, or this is going to happen, and I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be able to do this. And again, you start self sabotaging yourself, right? It's like too much success and people get anxious about it, right? And so here are some of the things, how some of the ways that um, the way that fear of success can actually show up for people. It can show up as folks who just quit easily, or they get so close and they just quit. They just throw their hands up there now. They quit, right? It can also show up as perfectionism, like I'm never going to get this to the finish line because I can improve on that and improve on this and do this and redo this, and this will be better if I can make it perfect here, perfect there, perfect. And they really never get it finished because they're consistently trying to make it perfect, right? It can also show up as self-defeating attitude. What's the use in finishing? It's not going to be done right anyway, or this is not meant for me. I was never going to get past this point anyway. It can also show up as self-destructive behaviors. People that get close, they may start drinking so that they oversleep and miss an interview, or they may get high and come into the interview kind of like totally lit and mess up something. It's like these self-destructive behaviors. They overdrink, or they get there have been people who've been right at the tip end of success and then they get DUI. They get drunk, they drive, and they get a DUI. Those are self-destructive behaviors. It may also show up as low motivation, that the goal is right there, but they just can't seem to get enough motivation to get it over the lines. Other folks, it may show up as making establishing very low goals, so that it's like goal is here and all you got to do is try that much to try to get over, because they're afraid of, if I do big goals, then I succeed successfully and really big. There are all these things that may come with that, right? So if any of this resonated with you, or you have family or friends that you've seen these behaviors in, share with them the next 15 strategies that I'll be talking with you about today, right? And so number one, identify your fear, right? Really sit down and write out, what is it that you're really afraid of? What am I afraid of? What's the worst that can happen if that happens? And if that happens, what's the worst and what's the worst? And worst case until you run out of worst casing, right? And then you pretty much will land up with the fear, okay? And that really helps you to sit down and take good stock of what the fear is, so you can avoid it, get over it, or overcome it, right? Number two, separate your needs from your wants. Sometimes, for instance, if you get some feedback from your boss and you're like, see, I'll never get this job, I'll never get promoted, I never do this, separate those needs from wants. You need the feedback. Really, you do need the feedback because it just makes you better. But what you wanted was praise from your boss. So separate the needs from the wants. You need the feedback because feedback is, it's not failure, it's feedback so you can get better. And it's about differentiating so that you can get the support that you need, right? Number three is also important. Celebrate your wins. When you do whatever it is, whatever you do, celebrate, pat yourself on the back. When we celebrate and we do things and we complete it, we get this little shot of dopamine and it makes us feel good. Well, when you celebrate, you just kind of amp that up, and then it'll motivate you to keep going, right? Number four, support yourself, right? It's it is about, if you're like self-defeating, you have this self-defeating attitude, oh, I'm a loser, I'm this, I'm that. It tends to take over your energy, and everything you do has this self-defeating look to it. So support yourself. I got this. I can do this, right? Even if you need to do it twice, I got it. I can do it. Definitely support yourself. Number five is really important. Define success on your own terms. I have met folks whose success is because, well, your mother said, my mom said I had to major in this, so I have to get this job too. Or my whole family has been lawyers, or my whole families are doctors. No, I want to be a computer programmer, but well, everybody else is a doctor, so I had to be a doctor. Make sure that you're setting success on your terms, the things that you really want. Because when it's predicated upon something that someone else says you should do, it's hard to get motivated to do that. It's very difficult. And then the closer you get success in the field that you really don't want, yeah, you do things that self sabotage so that you don't get there, right? So, number six is be willing to accept compliments and praise. Some folks, they deflect compliments, they can never take it. Learn to accept those comments and then internalize that with the self thought where you're supporting yourself. Then it makes it easier for you to get over what seems like a hurdle. You can't seem to, like, I can't seem to do it right. I can't seem to get in the door, right? Accepting praise from others shows confidence and maturity on your part. And not only that, but thank people for that. I know that if you're like me, and at one point I really had low self esteem, it was difficult to accept compliments from others. But this is a way that you can work on it. So you build that up, which in turn is kind of like a domino effect. It starts to hit the other things in your life. Number seven, be compassionate. Hey, I think let's see, see if I pronounce this right, Leilani. I think I've seen you on here before. Beautiful name. Thanks for joining me. So, how much? What number did you hop on at? Is it 8:44? So, about 2 minutes ago, I may have been talking about be willing to accept praise and compliments from others or defining success on your own terms, right? So thanks for joining from California. I will be in California, 2 weeks from now. Yes, I have a conference, the Girls Powerhouse Conference in Rancho Cucamonga. So love Cali, and I think, yeah, Los Angeles is only like 38 miles away from Rancho Cucamonga. I was trying to figure out if I was going to fly out of Los Angeles, or I really want to fly out of Ontario, but there's no flight to Phoenix because I'm going to Phoenix after I leave California. Now that I've just discussed my whole travel plans there, I guess I can move on. Number seven is ultra, ultra important. Be kind and compassionate to yourself. It is so important because what we'll do is make a little mistake or make a huge mistake or make a medium sized mistake, and we beat ourselves up over and over. So stop that. Be compassionate. Shirzad Shamin is, I studied to be a positive intelligence coach under him. And so he had this really nice idea of, it's this tactic, how to build self compassion. Find a picture of yourself, a younger, when you're a younger child. If it's under five, great. But if it's under 10, 13, good as well. Look at that picture, right? And understand and observe the real true essence of who you are. Because that child that was you back then is still in there somewhere. And I often tell people, pick up a picture of yourself younger, right? And see if you would call yourself, you're stupid, you're a loser. Say it out loud to the picture. Most of us can't. Most of Because we don't say that. The average person doesn't talk to a child like that. Well, that picture of you, you're still inside somewhere. And that's the way to learn how to be compassionate to yourself, be kind to yourself instead of so much self-criticism. And because it really does drag you down. Everybody has a bad day here and there, but you don't have to consistently beat yourself up over it. Develop that compassion, because really any decisions that we make, even when it seems like it's like, why would you do that? Any decisions that we make, we are doing the best we can in the moment with what we have. And so remind yourself of that. Why did I do that? Because in the moment, you made the best decision that you thought was the best thing for you in that time. If it doesn't work out, it's not failure, it's feedback. Feedback to do it a different way or just to do something else totally. But do be kind and compassionate to yourself. Number eight, make a decision that I'm not going to let fear hold me back anymore. I'm going to learn to put fear to the side and take the first step, right? Sometimes we get caught up in fear. If there are 15 steps, we want to take off 15 at one time. That's overwhelming. The brain's like, nope, I'm not having that. Stop. We're going to fail. Stop. Just take the first step. Take the first half a step. Remember that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. You can't make all 1,000 at one time. I guess you could maybe fly on a plane, but anyway. Most of the time, 1,000 steps, 1,000 step journey starts with just the one step, right? You get that shot of dopamine, you did that well, you take another. You get a shot of dopamine, you take another, and you literally keep going and going and going. So much around us in our lives is set up on that. Nobody starts at 12th grade. We start at preschool or we start at kindergarten. Then we're in first grade and second grade, and we build up. So by the time you get to the 12th grade, you have the skills, knowledge, and abilities to graduate, right? And some of you are super smart. I know you were skipped a grade or two, but you still started off before you got skipped, right? Okay. Number 9, journal it. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't journal. I don't like to journal at all. I will log things down, but I don't journal. I know that's probably the same thing. But so if you don't do journals, just get a book and log it down. Write down your thoughts, write down your feelings. You will find that if you just write down when you feel like you're facing a fear and you're afraid of success, start writing those things down, because if you come back 30, 60, 90 days later or 6 months later, you will have a pattern that you will see evolve. Well, every time I get to here, I self sabotage myself and I make mistakes. Huh, well, that's where you need to start. That's why journaling or logging, if you don't journal, right? That's why it's so important. And remember that you can speak, right? Send yourself notes if you don't like to write. There are electronic journals where you can do it on your phone as well. Number 11, move your body and exercise. Exercise off that fear, that nervous energy. It can help you lose weight, but it can just help your heart pump, clear the mind. You get those endorphins in there, and it helps you to see things better, right? Also, if you have this fear of success, you're always afraid of making a mistake or actually succeeding, right? Do volunteer work. It really helps get you out of your headspace and see things in a different way. So definitely go out and volunteer, whatever tickles your fancy, whatever floats your boat. Go ahead and volunteer. Oftentimes, especially when you work with folks who are less fortunate than you, it just does something to you because they're so grateful, and you get this feeling, this altruistic feeling that you did something that helped someone else, and it really can help you to fight that fear of success and actually motivate you too, right? Because there are a lot of people who wish they could be in your space, and when you come face to face, you're volunteering with them and you're helping them, it does change your mindset, right? And number 13, do manage your anxiety and your depression. I'm sorry, your anxiety and your stress. You got depression, see a licensed therapist, right? Okay. But make sure you're sleeping right, getting enough sleep, and that you're eating the right foods that are right for you, because it does help you to stop secreting all that adrenaline and that cortisol, which kind of attacks your body when it's hanging out without doing anything. What that means is when we're anxious or when we're nervous, you're stressed, you secrete these chemicals because they're prepping your body to fly, fight, flight. Well, some people freeze, right? But when you're not needing to run and save yourself, these chemicals actually turn on your body. And it gives you a lot of what we call autoimmune diseases, arthritis, lupus, those kinds of things. But if you're exercising right, like I said before, managing your anxiety and depression, you really can't stop that. And it does help you to not fear success, because everything doesn't look like a mountain at that point, right? You kind of bring it down to size where you feel like you're able to manage it. Number 14, get support, whether you get support from your mentor, your sponsor, or a coach, right? And I already said, if you have depression or you have general anxiety, then you do need to see a licensed mental health clinician, okay? But it is important to get support from folks who've either been there before you, or they can help you see things in a different way. That's why you have career coaches and executive coaches, because that's what we help people do, right? Because again, fear of success can really get you paralyzed and get you stuck in the same career, in the same place year after year. And then you're beating yourself up. And so you see, it seems like this is in this hamster wheel where you try to succeed, you pull back, you feel like you fail, and you beat yourself up and you just get on that hamster wheel. And it seems like you can't get off. But actually, if you get the right support, you can get off. And number 15, do take it one step at a time, one step toward success at a time. Take the small step, get this shot of dopamine. Take the next step, like I said before. That's why I say the first thing to do in the morning is get up and make up your bed. It's the first thing that you'll complete. You'll get that shot of dopamine and kind of prep yourself and motivate yourself to make the next step that you need to take, right? To take. Basically what you're doing is you're overcoming that fear by taking small, calculated steps in the direction of your goal, right? Versus trying to do everything at once, which leaves you feeling overwhelmed, and it kind of cuts out all that overthinking as well. So, it's not uncommon from different points in our life to fear success, but when it starts to cripple you, or you've been sitting in the same place for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, or afraid to take that next step for the promotion or talking yourself out of it, that means you're letting it get in your way, and that's when you need help, right? And so, if that is you, do reach out. There's so many of us coaches out here that are willing to help, can coach you on the mindset piece of that, coach you how to break those goals down. You have your strategy, break them down to tactical things where you can do them one step at a time and get that success and feel successful, right? So I am glad that you hung in there. That is all 15 of my strategies, right? The strategies to help you overcome the fear of success so that you can maximize your potential. Okay. So be here next week when the topic of the live is break the cycle of broken resolutions. Choose habit building instead, right? Got some great stuff up for you on habit building. You heard me say earlier, I don't do resolutions anymore. I haven't done New Year's resolutions in about 10 or 15 years. I do intentions, and I do them all through the year so that I'm not at the beginning setting myself up for failure. And then 2 or 3 weeks in, I don't do it. Then I feel guilty. And then it's a fear of success thing. Don't do any of that anymore. All right. And so come and see what is a great way for you to break the cycle of broken resolutions and choose habit building instead. Thank you for being here, and I will see you all next week. Bye bye.